go ahead and get started. We might have a few additional people joining as we go, but as always, we do record this session for anybody to watch it later or share it with your coworkers. So let's go ahead and get started and jump right in. So again, my name is John Fulton, Director of Product Management. My partner in crime today is Mark Bridger, PO for Smart Simple. I'll be acting as the MC, and Mark will be the tour guide today. So we look forward to sharing with you all the excitement of this latest release, the February 2026 release, and we'll dive right into it. So just quickly, we're going to walk through a couple of the high-level roadmap themes, and this is really just to provide the guardrails around what's driving our focus from a roadmap perspective. I will briefly touch on some of the highlights. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to steal Mark's thunder, because he's actually going to go through and provide demos of the highlights of this release. And then we'll go into Q&A. And then we'll just want to leave a few minutes at the end to highlight some of the results that we've had with our voting, both through our Elevate event and some Connect events, and highlight also the opportunity for you to collaborate with us through a variety of different activities, both betas and workshops that we'll be launching this quarter. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So most of you who have participated in past webinars have seen these themes. These themes continue to be consistent, continue to be sort of the drivers for us with our solution. And I just want to highlight a few aspects of what we've done recently. On the transparency and collaboration side, we did launch the Idea Lab this summer, which has been a great success. Mark and I and our team review those ideas on a weekly basis and respond, so everybody has a chance to see the status of those and vote on those ideas, which we in turn will review and consider for future releases. And then again, I'm going to steal Mark's thunder a little bit. In the February release, we are launching the ability for you to see a high-level roadmap, which is also on the Idea Lab site, for you to see some of the things that we're working on and also planning for the next few releases. So definitely encourage you to take a look at that site and provide us feedback on those items. As I mentioned, we'll be doing some workshops and some betas, and I'll talk about that at the end to see if anybody's interested on some of the new enhancements that we're planning to release to get some validation on that front. On the innovation and AI side, we continue to look for innovative solutions, specifically with AI. We will be launching a new AI capability. I'm not even going to say it because I'll let Mark talk about it in the February release. But it is in a limited beta. You'll learn more about that shortly. And then we're also looking at really focusing on more self-contained, built-in AI capabilities, where the AI capabilities today that we offer really put the burden on you or services to configure and set up. We want that to be more out of the box. So we're looking at more common scenarios like you'll hear about today in the February release, along with some other common use cases around summarization that will continue to deliver more out of the box. So you're not forced at, for example, having to define all the prompts on the summarization side. We are looking around data and AI interoperability. Specifically, one of the things that we're working towards is to be more agnostic, to give you the ability to more easily extract and share data either with your BI tools or other AI sources, other data sources. And then AI, again, we're focused on the ethical and secure perspective, in that any of the AI features that we are driving or providing within our environment are self-contained and ensure that none of that data goes outside the environment. Unlike other sort of search engines or chat, OpenAI, some of those tools out there will leverage your information for the purpose of a broader need of those other tools. So we've really focused on ensuring that that data won't go outside the environment for security reasons. Enhancing the user experience continues to be a big focus. There's still a lot of room for improvement there. We've made some incremental improvements over the last few releases. One of the topics that I'll talk about at the end around workshops are a couple key areas around report builder and list views, where we're going to be doing some workshops to get feedback as to how we can continue to enhance those areas. So again, just keep a note of that. We'll dive into more detail at the end of the session. And then last but not least, again, to me, user experience and complexity almost go hand in hand in that we are continuing to look at delivering features that reduce the complexity. And we've identified and delivered a number of enhancements through feedback from our customers where they felt that certain features that most customers were using were overly complex or could become overly complex. So we've like automated reminders is an example of how we simplified that process to be more of a wizard-like interface to address, those outcomes that prior were much more complex to deliver through the workflow capabilities. So again, as I mentioned, just very high level. Mark's going to go into more detail on these, but I just want to highlight a few of these items in terms of user experience. We got a lot of great feedback from the October release around our left and center panel updates. We've incorporated a number of additional enhancements in there based on that feedback. On the CRM side, we did introduce the new CRM capabilities in October, and we did make an improvement there around better supporting recurring events to make it more similar to, how you define recurring events in Outlook, and you can update one or multiple events in a single action versus having to update each individual one if they are recurring and you do have a number of them. I mentioned about innovation AI, about the self-containing capability. And then the one teaser that I realized I can't tease anymore is the AI application analysis. That's the one we're having a limited beta on with the launch of the February release. Very excited about that. Mark's going to get into more detail on how that works and how that's going to benefit you. And then from a reducing complexity perspective, our T2P, we are introducing and rolling this out. Again, we're doing some initial testing, so it's not formally available to everybody initially, but eventually it's going to be a capability to where customers that are on shared or multi-tenant environments will have the ability eventually to be able to introduce additional instances for testing and dev purposes. In-app notifications, we've made some improvements there for better communication. And then enhanced supportability, we've added some additional attributes to the About screen so you can see exactly what type of environment you have, dedicated, shared, also along with the release group information, which determines the timing of when you get an upgrade. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the Idea Lab roadmap will be available. We've added a link within the February release for you to quickly access what's in plan, and that's a dynamic list that we're continually updating. And then behind the scenes, more on the platform side, we've enhanced performance for large data sets. This is another feature called Smart Search that we will be rolling out to customers throughout the launch of the February release. So not everybody initially will have it, but we'll share more details as how that will be available. But it's intended to significantly reduce the performance when you're dealing with a large list of values in your list view. And then the modern UI architecture upgrade, again, very technical, but it's worth mentioning as we're spending a significant amount of effort re-architecting the back-end framework. We're separating the front and back-end UIs that will improve performance, improve response time, but also make it easier for us, Smart Simple team, to manage the code going forward and help drive some more consistency across the UI. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Mark, and we will stop going through the slides and see something live.
Fair enough. All right, let me jump in here. Hello, everybody. As John said, I'm Mark, the product owner here at Smart Simple, and I'm going to walk through and give you a live demo of some of the things that are in this upgrade. Everything I'm going to show you today is listed on our wiki.smartsimple.com. If you click on upgrades, you'll see the article here, which does list out this to all the way through next year when our upgrades happen. If you're on the key release, you'll be getting this upgrade next Thursday, and your backups will have already been have this upgrade applied there where you can actually go and test it. And if you find anything, you can reach out to our support team and let us know so we can address it before the February 12th date. Those in the global release, again, we'll get that 2 weeks later on the 26th. And as of next Thursday, your backups will also be upgraded with it so you can see the upgrade package before it gets applied to your production.
Yep. And
With
Mark,
that,
sorry to interrupt. I
yeah,
forgot one housekeeping item. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the Q&A. We will have time at the end, but I will try to respond to any of those questions as we go, just to minimize the amount of time at the end.
100%. Perfect. So I'm not going to go through this part because John's already given us a high level there, but I'm going to start off with the global upgrade. So these are things that are going to happen automatically. So I want to highlight these kind of enhancements first. And the first thing to note is that there will be an extended maintenance window for this upgrade. So this upgrade is actually quite substantial as we're changing the database schema to, as John had mentioned, to allow for shared environments to be able to use the new T2P tool. So there's a lot of changes there, and because of that, our window for maintenance is a little longer than normal. So just be aware of that. So you may see the backups take a little bit longer when they get updated, for example. So and when the production gets upgraded, there will be a longer delay than usual. So just wanted to highlight that. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is our new System Insights page. So you can see here the screenshot of the Insights page. And this is what this really is doing is giving you kind of transparency into some of the back-end processes that are happening within your system. I'm going to switch over to mine just to kind of show you a little more of that page. So if I go into Global Settings, System Insights. Again, here I can see all sorts of things. Now, obviously, mine is a test instance, so I don't have all the data that I had in my screenshot, but I can see, how many emails are going out. Is that queue rising? Is the queue falling? Likewise, with workflows, I can see workflows that are running asynchronously or workflows that are about to start. I can see, is that number climbing or is it dropping? It really kind of gives you an insight into these processes. Same thing here with our deferred processes around the API and the autoloader, as well as if you are using the API, again, you can monitor how your usage is going and how close you are to your call limit. Beyond that, again, you can see how many users are online, and if you have a concurrent user limit set, again, you can see how close you're getting to that concurrent user limit. Some people do set the concurrent user limit to make sure you don't have a huge amount of volume of users in at the same time. So again, the System Insights gives you some transparency into some of those back-end processes that you can look at. The next thing I want to talk about is the header. So we did introduce the header a year ago in February 2025. We did turn it on for everybody, and we had retained an option to turn it off. In this upgrade, everyone will get it with no option to turn it off anymore. This is our new header, our new style going forward, and you'll be able to see that this will be turned on in your system. The new header has the system administrator icon here, where basically your global administrators have things that are only available to them will show up in here. You also have this accent bar up here, and if you haven't seen that before, you can, if you don't like the color of the accent bar, you can go into the branding settings. And right here you can see it says accent font and accent background, where you can change those settings for the colors and save. I'll just show you once again. So I may have went too quickly there. Global settings, branding, colors and styles. You can change that color if you don't like the color that's set. Here, the font and the color, and then just save those and that'll update. So again, the header will be turned on for everyone in this next upgrade. In this upgrade, I should say. The next thing I do want to highlight while I'm looking at this, as John mentioned, we have the Idea Lab right here. We have this link that goes to suggestions. So if you do have enhancement suggestions for the system, you can put those in. And as John mentioned, myself and the team will do review those. We do comment on those. And so can the whole community. They can comment on those, say, hey, this is a really good idea we want. So you can go there through this link. We added this link down here, which is now for the roadmap. So if I go there, again, I can see what we have in the works. I can see what's coming up next. And I can see what's going in the future quarters. So you can kind of come in here and see what to expect in our future upgrades. by going to that link. So again, it's available to everybody, gives you, again, more transparency into the things that we're working on in the background and when you might anticipate they might come out into future upgrades. Beyond that, I want to bring you over to the web page view because I just want to highlight a few things that are being deprecated uh, in this release. So if I go to web page view, which is a type of field that we use here usually to generate PDF documents. So usually you click with a button, it opens up, it can open up directly in a PDF, or as I've done here, I just open it up with an option to export it as PDF. And typically you do that to archive maybe your application with all the data in it. Maybe you want to send that to somebody, maybe you want to just keep it for archival purposes. So within this web page view field, we no longer adding the ability, no longer have the ability to edit it from this view. Uh, Really, best practice is always to edit it in the other fields in the application, not to edit from this view inside the web page itself, because any changes you make here would not have been saved anyway, and it can cause compatibility issues when you do try to PDF it. So the editing from inside the web page view right here has been removed, so it has been deprecated. Just want to highlight that to people. Some people who had older systems may have had also had an option to email directly from here or export the HTML from here. Those have also been deprecated, along with the at form start and at form end tags. So if you're using those features, they've been deprecated at this point. Along with applicant tracking, sales tracking, and job tracking, which is not really the web page view, but some very older legacy systems may have been using those built-in kind of applications, which you can now build those types of things using the UTA and other things in the system. Um, Beyond that, I want to talk about our SMTP relay. So some people use our SMTP relay because they want to use their own mail server instead of coming from our system. And we've made some changes there with that. So if you are using SMTP relay, I'll go to our communications here. Here's where the SMTP relay settings are. Whether you're using the basic authentication or you're using OAuth 2, you'll notice that you no longer have an option to select TLS. So TLS encryption is going to be automatically enabled going forward for better security. Also for better security, we're restricting it to ports 587 and 465. So if you were using a different port, you're going to need to reach out to your IT team to adjust to one of these ports for your SMTP relay. So just be aware of that. As that change will need to happen for the February upgrade. As I was mentioning about how we've changed the background database schema for our system, which is going to support T2P and our shared tenancy. And what that really means is I can have one system where maybe I do my configuration changes, then I can promote those to a second system where I can test those changes, and then before I promote them to my live, my production environment. So again, it's kind of a staged making the changes, testing the changes, deploying those changes through that tool. Now that's with our new project-based T2P tool. We do also have a desktop T2P tool, and I wanted to bring that up because of this changes that we've made to support the new project-based one. If you're using the old T2P tool, you'll need to download a new version of that. You'll have to reach out to our support team and download a new version because with the schema changes we've made, the old T2P desktop tool won't work with those changes. You'll have to download the new version of that. So you can still use the desktop tool, but you have to download the new version of that desktop tool after this upgrade. So just be aware of that. If you are on a dedicated environment currently and you're using the desktop T2P tool, you have to get the new one. All right. So those are the things that are going to happen automatically. Now I want to talk about things that I find a little more exciting, which are the on-demand, the things that you can kind of opt into. So the first thing I want to talk about is the AI application analysis. So as John had mentioned, this is I think it's going to be a really great tool for all of our clients out here, where you basically use AI to score and analyze applications based on the criteria that you define. So here I have a list view where I've had the AI analyze these based on the criteria I've decided, and then I had them ranked here. So now if I had, say, 1,000 records or whatever, I can look at them and say, okay, well, maybe I want to pay attention to these ones that scored higher against the criteria I defined before I look at these ones. So I can kind of prioritize my work a little better in this way. If I go into one of these, I've set up some questions here, and I have a lot of text answers to these questions that I sent to the AI for analysis. And then based on my criteria, it's given me an overall weighted score out of 10. So this one, it says, okay, it gave us a 4 out of 10 based on my criteria. It gives me a brief summary of my application here, and it tells me when it was processed, because this is important in that after I review this, I may send it back to the client, my applicant. They may make revisions. I may want to do an analysis again, or I may want to change my criteria because maybe I think this would be worth more than a 4. Maybe it should have been a 6. And so I may want to fine tune my criteria. So for both those reasons, we keep the date of when it's processed here, so we know how relevant this AI application analysis is at any time, given time. Beyond this top part here, we have a section for our flagged items. So these are things that might be detected that are maybe out of the ordinary. Maybe there's something that we were, maybe this isn't something we would typically fund, but it is something of interest, or something's just out of the ordinary, or something conflicting. Whatever it is that isn't necessarily part of the scoring, we would put those items into this flagged items. Below that, we've got a section for our strengths. So here we talk about what the AI thought were very positive things about this application itself. And then down here, we have things like weaknesses. So again, it's going to tell me, for monitoring and evaluation, it seems like there was limited details here. So maybe I want to go back to the applicant and get them to fill in more information around this. This might be something I want to pay some extra attention to. Same with the goal of the project here. It says the answer seemed incomplete. So again, it just kind of highlights some areas where it's like, hey, I may want to go back to the applicant and ask them to kind of flesh this out a little more, give us a little more clarity, delineate this in a better way. Beyond this, down here I have the criteria that I've set up, and I'm going to show you in a second how I set it up. But if I look at this criteria itself, I gave it a name, it got a score. We can weight it so that I can make some questions worth more value than the others in that total score at the top. It gives a confidence as to how confident the AI felt it was in giving that score. And then if I view the details, it gives me the rationale. So it tells me, why did it give this a 4? So again, I can look into that for each of these things. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat. I'm happy to go back and talk more about this. I'm going to show you the configuration side now. And as John mentioned, this is, we do have some select clients. I think that we're going to be doing some beta testing on this feature, and then it'll be rolled out to, as we roll it out. So if I go into, let me go back in here to the configuration. So the configuration for this is actually on the UTA itself. So that way, if you had to say a program manager or someone in there that isn't necessarily a global admin that wants to adjust the criteria that the AI analysis is running on, they can do that. So I come in here to the UTA and I go into the application analysis, and I may have many sets of criteria that I may want to run. So this is an example of one set of criteria that I was going to use for specific grants. So down here, I say what grants I want this criteria set to run against. So I want, these types of grants will run against those. And then I pick the status it will run at. So again, we control this based on the status. So when a record gets to a certain place in time, we'll run that analysis. And we can do that by pressing a button on that record to send it to that status. Or we could do a batch update and do them all at once. We could have a workflow that then goes to trigger all this. So really, this is which kinds of applications will get analyzed. This is when it will get analyzed. And then down here is what we'll analyze. So these are the fields. So basically, I pick any of the fields that I want to send to the AI as part of this analysis. So I picked these fields. I didn't pick the whole thing. I could pick everything, but instead I picked what I wanted to send over. So, for example, I may not want to send over, the person's name or any that kind of information, but I may want to just analyze the other information. So again, I have complete control over what I send to the AI, and this is again in our hosted model. So it's not going out to any external third parties. It's all staying within inside your infrastructure. So you've got that going for you as well. So that's the main criteria set. Now, if I drill down in, I can see the different criteria that I've created here. So the first criteria I created, and we've got three different types here. I'll just show you this. There's scoring, flag, and yes, no. So I created this one, which is basically I want it to look at the goal, and it's going to look at all those custom fields I gave it. I don't have to specify which custom field to look at. It'll look through all those fields. It'll look through all that data to determine what the goal is. And then I've asked the AI to evaluate that goal versus what my program is trying to achieve. So a very simple prompt you can see here. And then it's gone out and I've weighted it. Okay, I'll show you that. I've weighted it uh, as a one. Now, if this is out of 10 and I had 10 questions and I weighted this as a one, then obviously this question would be worth one out of the 10. But if I wanted to, I could change that weighting to like two, and then that would be worth twice as much or three. So again, you can, if one of these questions is more important than the others, you can fine tune your criteria here, both through the prompts and through the weighting to kind of get that score you're looking for. The second one here is the flag. So I talked about this. This is really about flagging something that might need attention. So my example here was just if we can detect if there's any litigation or legal issues, because that's something that necessarily won't necessarily affect the score, but I really want to know it. There could be all sorts of things where, again, you don't really want it to affect the score, but you do want to highlight it. Like, although this doesn't fit into what we'd normally fund, maybe this is something of interest or some other rationale there. So again, there's a way of flagging things. Um, but not affecting the score. There's the scoring, which is always out of 1 to 10. And then we've also got the yes, no. So again, here I can ask it a question. Is this an active charity with a registration number in good standing? It's going to be either yes or no. It gets a 10 or a 0. So that's how I built out the criteria on this. Again, we can kind of go back to it at the end, and if people have questions about it, and John can also speak to, we've got that group of clients. We're getting a group of clients together to help us beta test this and refine this before we release this generally to everybody. But it is in this upgrade.
To jump in, I've been answering some great questions. There are two here. I just thought we'd answer them before we move off
Yeah.
of this feature. Um, Claudius had asked, is there any example of the AI application analysis for the IME business process?
I don't have an example set up here, but certainly if we go into any of these, you can set up any questions that you want within here and any prompt that you want, and you can again send any of the content from your application or your case as it may be into the AI and have it evaluate that. So if you want to check for something specific in that marketplace, you certainly can. Did they complete all of these things? Is there you can even check, is the grammar good on this? Like you can do any kind of prompt you want within this criteria itself and have it come back and tell you.
Great. And then one more. Cecile asks, can you control from what perspective the AI uses to analyze? And I'd asked to clarify. She said, it's like having AI analyze applications from different perspectives, sectors, fields, backgrounds.
Yep. Yeah. So certainly, again, you could ask the AI to pretend it's a reviewer with this background. You can actually include supporting files here as well. Here's some relevant information for that. Certain I guess, areas of expertise, maybe medical, for example, they may have a certain expertise that's needed, and you can ask it, from the perspective of a researcher in this field, what do you think about this application? Certainly, you can kind of change that around as needed. So again, you can ask the AI to take on different personas if you want. It's certainly within the realm of possibility.
There's a number of other questions, but let's move on, and we'll try to answer those at the end.
For sure. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is what we're calling smart search, which is basically, I'm going to open it up. Actually, I'll open it up in a new window here. So smart search is what we're talking about for those clients, those really large data sets. So we've got a wiki article here, and there's a link to it from the main wiki article. And this is really designed for those clients with really large data sets. And what this does is with those list views, you have hundreds of thousands of records. We found that we can load those in seconds or fractions of a second. So it's a lot more powerful for those clients. Again, there's select clients that we're going to start this with as we roll it out. And it really it kind of flattens the data, puts it into an index cluster, and then we call that data from there to populate those list views. Um, and that gives us that really it really helps us to improve performance around those really large data sets. So there's an article here that explains how we enable it. We have to turn it on for you, and again, it's for select clients right now, but it is in here. There's a few things that caveats with turning it on, where you may have to rebuild a couple of list views, and some of the list view features aren't available. But this is very exciting now that we're kind of beta testing this out with some of our clients, um, especially those high volume clients that really need that really fast kind of list view loading for those records. So again, that's the new Smart Search coming out and is now available for some clients. The next thing I want to talk about is actually our variable syntax. And for anyone who doesn't know what variable syntax, I apologize for showing another article here, but a lot of times in the system, we'll have something like they'll say like at field name at, and we'll call different values in the system. So maybe I'm on a level one record or an application record, and I want to call information from a specific user or vice versa, some other area of the system. I can use these variables to pull that data from one area of the system and put it in another area of the system. Or even with our system variables, let's say I want to call my system by a specific name. Maybe I can call my system grantee. I can put that variable in all over the system. And then if a stakeholder comes to me and says, I don't want to call it grantee anymore, I want to call it grantioso, I can just make that change in one place and it updates everywhere across the system. So again, these variables are very powerful. In this upgrade, we've added a new option for a new syntax. So what we've found is the old system, the old syntax with the ats. It becomes problematic in some areas, such as the rich text editor. And so we want to move towards a more uh, modern approach to these variables using this new syntax. Again, here's some examples of that new syntax, and I'll show you in the system. So if I go to global settings, and if this is something you're interested in, you can enable the new variable syntax here, and then you can start using that new syntax. You have no obligation to turn this on. You don't have to convert your stuff. But we have this new option now for that new variable syntax. And then, you know, which we probably do, we'll roll out to our newer clients. So in newer builds, we'll start using this new syntax. Older builds can continue using the old syntax. But what we would do with our newer builds is enable the syntax, start using it, and then probably disable the old one for those newer builds. But again, you can keep using your existing syntax as long as you'd like. There's no obligation to change it out, but we are introducing this new one for those that do want to use it, especially for if you've encountered any issues with the rich text editor.
Yep. Quick question. Actually, two came out the same question. Can you use both syntax at the same time?
Yes, you can,
Okay.
100%. So you can use both syntax at the same time. You, yeah, there may be a small performance there may be a small performance effect on that, but certainly you can use both at the same time. There's no obligation to only use one or the other. Um, Again, with our intent is that newer builds would start using the new one, but older builds it may not be feasible to go back and adjust those. So you can just turn it on and start using the new one where you have to, if that's something you want to do. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is if I go into integrations, we've added a new option here for a real-time webhook integration. And what this really is sometimes maybe you have information in the system that you want to pull out of Smart Simple, and then you want to integrate it or sync it up with another system. So what this allows you to do is anytime someone updates a record in our system in Smart Simple, it'll send a message or notification out via the webhook to whatever third party you want to use, and then at that point you can use the API to call that information and kind of sync it up with other tools you might be using. So again, there's a new real-time webhook integration that you can use to be notified of any changes in the system, so you know which records to pull and pull that out. So you can get that in real time instead of exporting everything. You just start exporting whatever you need when you need it as it happens. So again, there's a new option here, which you can use in conjunction with the API to kind of sync up the data you have in the system with other systems. The next thing I want to show you is our integrations. So if I go to my profile here, we have integrations, which John had talked about, some of our CRM functionality. So here I can go and I can create, so maybe I have phone calls with people, I have emails, I have different correspondence and interactions I'm having between myself and maybe an applicant. I can go in and if I check on so this guy here. So here I've got a meeting I'm having with my applicant. Let's say it's a monthly check-in. I'm checking for these items. I'm going to this location, and it's pertaining to a record in my submission manager, specifically this application. And I can keep information about those interactions I'm having back and forth with files that have are pertaining to it. I can also add notes in here. So again, all of this is available to kind of track uh, all your interactions between yourself and an organization, users and organizations, and applications as well. And I can also see it in a timeline. I can see the different things that are happening when they're happening. I can see my upcoming meetings with this client and my past meetings here, and it's all tracked in here. And in a future release, we're also working on um, the Outlook integration right now, which will be able to populate this with emails as well. But I don't want to jump too far ahead. So in this upgrade, uh, we revised the way you can see event is a recurring event, so it's a series of events. And so we revised how this works so that now if I make a change here, I can save that change to just this event, or I can save it to say this event and the events in the future, or I can make that change to all of them. Likewise, I can delete it. Likewise, I can update the whole schedule. So we've just kind of cleaned this up and made this interactions a little bit better as we continue to focus on more of the CRM functionality that people are looking for. Uh, I would mention that, I guess last before I go to the questions, I mention that our C-Suite integration, we do have a C-Suite integration, and for that's with our sister product, Community Suite, and that's more of a fund accounting program. So again, it's a data exchange between Smart Simple. I'll actually show you. It's a data exchange between Smart Simple and the C-Suite product. If I come into integrations down here, we have data exchanges. For example, I'll just make one real quick. And this is really used to exchange data between either Smart Simple systems or Smart Simple and C-Suite. And depending on which one I pick, I can then map different fields. And then depending on the source of truth, we send information from Smart Simple over into the accounting software back into Smart Simple. Or you can send it between two different systems this way as well for people of that setup. So again, that's the data exchange, which we use as our C-Suite integration with Smart Simple. There's a few items for admins, but I'm not going to go into that. Instead, I'd rather open up the floor for Q&A, see if I can answer some more questions about anything we've talked about today.
Yeah, sorry, I am just responding here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple questions. Let's see, if we go back to the scoring, does the AI analysis use reference answers in the scoring, kind of similar to what a teacher would provide his or her TA for grading?
Yeah, fair enough. So it's really a question around almost like rubrics. So if you want, so my examples here were very basic, but if you want, I did do an example of this in here. So if you want, you could kind of create your own rubric where it's like, hey, based on this, if the answer is answered this way, I want you to grade it this way. If the answer this way, I want you to grade it that way. So you could use a rubric in that kind of a scenario if you wanted, saying this is the expected value I want here, and this is how I would grade each type of value. So certainly you can do this if you wanted. I was just keeping it simple for demonstration purposes.
Yeah. One question was interesting around application analysis. They
Mhm.
commented they're not sure if a non-system admin can set up the criteria, and I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say
So
I don't think you need to be super technical to set it up.
yeah. So certainly, I mean that's more of a business decision if you want non-technical admins to set up, but it is available. We built it in here so that if you have a UTA manager, so I can come into this UTA, then certainly you could come in here and you could see it and you could adjust it. Um, so that's the way we've set it up to allow you to do that itself. And then of course when it runs, it does show up in that tab. Um, and let me, while I'm here, actually, I just want to show you one more thing. So I want to show you how I made this list view as well. So I showed you the tab where the analysis goes, but then I've also got the scoring here. So if I go into my list view and I go into columns, so there's actually a new field that you can pick from in the list view called AI Application Analysis Score, which I put here. And that's how I got that score so that I could then sort on it. And also, I just want to highlight that you do have the option to hide that column as well so that no one sees it. So you can still sort on it, but hide it. So if people may not be aware of this, that we have this option for any of these columns, really. I can surface data in a list view and then hide the column, but then I can still go into the sort order and choose to sort it. So that is an ability of our list views, surfacing data but not showing it, and but still using that data to sort it. Because you may not want everyone to see this. Just likewise, you can permission the tab um, as to who gets to see the AI application analysis.
Uh, Next question. When you upload a document to the upload field in an
Mhm.
interaction, how do you download it or view it?
Sure. So if I go to interaction here, file. So what we're talking about is let's go into this interaction here. I would drag and drop the file here. So it'll show up just like every other upload field. The files show here where I can click on those files and download them. Now we do have some functionality that's coming in if you look at our roadmap where we're going to actually allow people to start previewing things, the files. But right now you have to download it from here to then view that file. But that functionality is coming with something we are working on. So stay tuned for a future upgrade, and we'll have the ability to preview files shortly in the system.
Let's see. Okay, so we answered that one. Next one.
Do you
The
want?
comment, it doesn't show up in the organization tab form to download or view uploaded files.
I'm not sure I follow the question there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
That in interactions, it doesn't show.
well, at any rate, if it's not showing up as you would intend, you may just want to reach out to support, and they can kind of walk through and make sure everything's set up right. Maybe there's a permission, or maybe there's something about that specific setup if something's not working as expected. So if you
Yeah,
can't see the files there, or there's some other thing like that, just reach out to support, and we'll make sure we get it sorted for you.
yeah. Another question on interactions. Regarding interactions, it's nice that you can associate an application with an interaction on the organization profile, but are there plans to make the interaction available at the application level?
Yeah, that's something I definitely think we would like to do, um, and but we haven't done it yet. So uh, definitely something for us to consider and probably do in maybe a future release. So that's a great idea. Yeah, currently not existing. There is a way you could probably pull it with a report property, but it's uh, not as intuitive. I'd like to introduce a better way of doing that. So that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, it actually suggests that if you post that on the Idea Lab, because we are looking at additional enhancements, as Mark mentioned, around interactions, so it'd be nice to have that sort of grouped into that list for consideration.
Yeah, because I could see a lot of people getting a lot of value out of that. A nice, easy way to just like you can do here on the user and the organization, easy way to pull that from the actual application itself.
Yeah. Trying to find. There's a follow-up question here, Mark. It says
Mhm.
around interactions, it was why have email as an option? Why not connect the group emailer to the interaction function? And I'm trying to find the original question. I think it was more about um, having the ability to send an email from Smart
Yep.
Simple.
Yeah, 100%. And that's also good feedback. Again, it'd be nice to send the emails from here as well. And like I said, we're working on an Outlook integration right now where we'll be able to push emails into here from your email. So I think some of that might be addressed in that new the new enhancement as it comes out. But yeah, there's some more work to be done to kind of polish that up here, and we tend to keep working on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, as Mark mentioned, we do have an Outlook integration around interactions that's targeted for the June release. Um, I have to go back and I think it's one way in that you can, from Outlook, you can initiate and automatically create an interaction directly into Smart Simple. I don't think the initial design includes back from Smart Simple to the email. I'll have to double check, but if not, that's definitely a future enhancement for consideration. That makes complete sense.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Let's see. Jamie says super excited for the previewing file ability. Thank you. Yeah. So there were a
yeah.
few people that asked because I know we had highlighted the last time that we were including the ability to preview files without having to download those. Unfortunately, it didn't make the cut,
Hmm.
but I will guarantee it will be in the June release because we did get a chance to work on it. It's pretty far along in its design, so we will have it in that next release.
Yeah. It may be an opt-in, but certainly I'm sure there's a lot of excitement for it, and
Yeah,
we're happy to provide it.
yeah.
Uh,
Let's see. Next question. Also, can the interactions be used to schedule and automatically make reminder calls?
yes. Uh, there is so if I go into this, I just go into one of these, I can automatically I can enable reminders, and I can send out emails and system notifications um, to the owners. So the people are listed here and the contacts here. So you can set that up from here, and then it will send those out to people. So you can set that up as it's a an easy way to send an email. And the system notifications, just so people know, are the ones that show up under here. So this is my notifications. So this is where I see the system notifications versus the email, which would be sent
Yeah,
obviously via email. So
yeah.
you have those options, and it's a pretty quick and easy way to set those up.
Yeah. And Mark, you just mentioned opt-in. One of the questions is, what does
Oh,
opt-in mean? Does it mean
sorry.
it'd be a separate cost? So can you,
No,
I forget the context.
yeah. So no, this was in regards to the file previewing. So what I meant by opt-in would be it may be a system setting where it's like I want to allow people to preview that, and you would just toggle that on. But the reason why we didn't allow it earlier was mostly for security reasons. Typically we don't let people execute files directly from their system just as a precaution. So again, as we finalize it, we'll know more, but it could just be a toggle where you have to say, yeah, I want to allow people to preview it within the system. So that's all I meant. It wasn't an extra paid feature or something like that. No, everyone's getting it.
Yeah,
It just might be you may have to toggle one thing on in your global settings before it gets enabled, or it may be on for everyone, and those people who want to can opt out of it. It
yeah,
could go either way there.
yeah. Next question, is there a free trial option before deciding to use the paid AI feature? Right now, we haven't determined that. I think that's a good suggestion. We are in the process of working through the pricing, so we will be sharing more details for this, and that's definitely something we'll consider.
Yeah, 100%.
Next question. Can one expect to use the AI analysis column on a list view instead of using dashboard of tables or graphs that will allow for direct access to a record from the list?
Uh,
Yeah,
So right now, if I look at the score, let's see if I understand this right, and I go to this tab, I can see that there's this score, which is here with all the information. I can also pull that into the list view. I'm not sure if I follow the full question there. It may be possible to pull that. I'm not sure if you can pull that in report, but you may be able to pull it in report if you needed, if that's what we're asking here.
Yeah, I see Claudius asked, Claudius, maybe we can have a follow-up on that to clarify
Yeah,
and
or
put
even reach out after if, too,
yeah,
either or.
yep. Next question. How do you make our interaction activities visible in a tab on our user profile?
Yeah, fair enough. So they're asking about this right here. Um, so if I go, you can do it on the user profile and on the organization. So if I go to global settings, users, standard fields, there is, just search for it. Where am I here? There it is. There's interactions is right there. So it is a standard field. So I can control that to the standard field. If I want to, I can permission it based on who I want to be able to see the interactions. On top of that, let's see, I think it was in the last upgrade. We'll just jump down here. Sorry. So if I go down here and look in October, this is when I believe we released the interactions. I'm going to cheat here. Um, yeah, interaction tracking. So there's a bunch of stuff right here under interactions that talk about how you can enable this for organization standard fields. Um, and also I would just highlight there are some other extra settings for visibility because some people may have turned this off so you can't see it. So that's where this is listed here. So just if you want to go here, you can see exactly all the things to check. But essentially, it's turn on the standard field. If you still don't see it, it's one of these system visibility or system feature permissions has been disabled, is why you're not seeing it. So do, again, look at here. I'll show you how I got there again. So I went quick, I'm sure. So if I go to the upgrades article on the wiki, at the very bottom, there's a category called upgrades. And here you can see all of our upgrades. So I just went back to the October upgrade where this was launched, and that's where we explained kind of how you turn that on. So it can be in there, and you can go back and see that upgrade. I just searched for the word interactions on here, and that's how I found that. That helps.
Great. All right, we've got two more questions, and then I want to jump over and just complete the few last slides that I want to cover with the team here. So, second to last question, wondering if the date changed, if the reminder date will update automatically.
I'm fairly certain it will. It's not like the workflows. I know with the workflows, sometimes you have to check for it. With these kind of reminders, it it checks every day, and then if that condition's met, it sends it. So if you change it, it doesn't matter. As long as you're more than 24 hours in advance, I think it'll be fine. I don't think you don't have to worry about refiring it or rechecking any logic or any of that stuff.
All right, last question before we jump over to the last few slides. We use SMTP Relay to send emails. When looking in backup, I see ports 587 and 465, but I also see our current port 25 radio button, which is
Uh,
selected. After
okay.
this is live, we definitely will not be able to use port 25.
So my assumption was actually you had to pick one of those two. The engineers may have done is they may have allowed you to keep it temporarily, so there's no disruption in service. And that's probably what's happened here. If you see it on your backup, then you probably have a bit of a grace period, but I would encourage you to reach out to your IT team and try and switch it over. So uh, I assume that's like a grace period for you, where it's letting you use that port temporarily for a bit. Um,
Got it. All right, I'm going to switch over. I
sure,
think.
I'll stop my share.
All right, can you just confirm you can see my
Yep.
screen? I'll go back on video here. All right, Q&A, which we have done. So just two slides here. Couple things to highlight. We've held a number of events. We had our Elevate event back in October, I believe. Um, and we've had a number of Connect events. And what we've done during those events is have some interactive voting sessions where we listed a number of enhancements and we sort of discussed and debated those enhancements with the audience. We added some items and maybe took some items off, and we gave everybody some funny money. At that time, it was Elevate dollars, and we gave everybody 10 $1 bills to vote. And these were the results. So you can see clearly that the report builder was overwhelmingly an area where customers are very interested in figuring out how can we improve the usability and the user experience. So that's one key area. The list view was also high on the list here, but again, I wanted to share this. This information is also on the Compass community site if you want more details. But the main reason I wanted to make sure we had a few minutes here at the end was to highlight that we are doing some validation activities with our customers. We have workshops and betas that will be going on this quarter, starting next month or later this month, actually. Two workshops. One will be on the report builder, and the other will be on list views. And the approach for these workshops is we're looking for customers, and again, it'll be a select number of customers because we're going to do some one-on-one sessions to sort of discuss these specific areas. Um, and really understand what the challenges and pain points are and sort of brainstorm various ideas for us to improve these areas because ultimately Mark and I are working towards identifying a list of improvements that we can prioritize and work into the roadmap, knowing that these are areas that we definitely want to improve upon. So I know with the report builder, it can be complex to use. I know that's one of the common themes. So the discussion is probably going to revolve around how can we make it easier for more users to leverage the report builder. And with list views, I think it's more about the user experience and being maybe more similar to an Excel-like experience where you can do inline editing and multi-select and sorting and filtering a little bit more easier and more intuitive are some of those common themes. So those are two workshops. I'm throwing out here my email address. So if anybody is interested in those workshops and you and your team are interested in having a one-on-one, I don't anticipate it taking a lot of time. I anticipate maybe two, maybe three sessions at the most where we have a discussion and I come back and sort of share my findings and make sure we're on the same page before we proceed with ideas for the roadmap. And then the other activity is around betas. We have a couple of key betas, one around the application analysis. This will be with a select number of customers initially. Um, I anticipate this will be more involved in the workshops and that there'll be one-on-one sessions, 2 to 3 sessions. I think we'll spend quite a bit of time walking through and discussing, ideally one of your use cases for an application analysis example so that we can create something more real world and sort of teach you how to fish and create these application analysis criteria. And I think there'll be a little bit of hand-holding initially to work through that, but it's also for Mark and I and the team to try to get a sense for, what other improvements can we make with this initial release so that we can really fully promote this more actively with our customer base. I think we want to maybe make a few adjustments, in the subsequent releases on that front. And then with T2P, we'll be reaching out to customers that we feel might be candidates for that. So again, if you have interest in these areas, feel free to email me directly or reach out to your Smart Simple representative, and I'm sure they can get back to me also. And probably over these next few weeks, we'll identify a short list. For those that um, don't make the cut, maybe we have an overwhelming number of customers. I will promise that I will engage you and provide you with some additional feedback as sort of a separate meeting to get your validation on sort of the direction of these specific features. With that said, I know we're up on time. Again, on behalf of Mark and myself, we appreciate everybody's time. Excited about getting this release out. I know a number of customers will be getting the key release this Thursday, and then our global customers will get their backup this Thursday, and then the production 2 weeks from tomorrow. So a lot happening. If you guys have any questions, you know how to reach us, and we look forward to getting your feedback and working with you in the future.
Yeah,
So
just one last thing. It's next Thursday, the 12th.
Yes. I
Yes,
said this Thursday. You're right. Thank you. Yeah.
no worries. Don't want to scare anybody.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
next Thursday. And do reach out if you find anything. And again, thank you for spending your time with us today.
Great. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
All the best.